Wagwan ya mwisho.
Wagwan.
Welcome back to Fallen One. Tuko hapa na co-host
Joseph Obang.
Bobby J Bobblings hapa Patu Wood Nasa kama kawaida. AKA Incoming SG. Tuko na guest hapa leo. Tutamwacha introduce. We've had him before on our set, I think twice.
Yes.
Yeah. Sasa wewe si guest. Wewe sasa ndo ni co-host. Wewe ni co-host. Wewe sasa umechukua kiti RJ Wanjala hapo.
Aje put back.
Bana.
Aje put back.
Put back.
Wanjala.
Do your wagwan.
My wagwan. No, I'm just coaching. Coach of Storms and NBA scout and a lover of basketball. That's what I do. My passion is the game and growing the game. I'm old school, just like RJ.
Who's your goat? MJ.
Michael Jordan is the GOAT. There's no other. There's nothing else I'm talking about. It's MJ, one and only.
One and only. Karibu sana bro.
Asante sana.
Kabisa. It's unlikely for us to shoot in the middle of the week, and we decided to go at it kwa sababu over the weekend we have something very crucial we need to discuss. Pale SGM. Apparently 21 days ago.
Yes.
There was an SGM that was organized, and members did not meet the quorum. So a meeting was scheduled to the 14th of September. That is this coming Saturday.
Yes.
So we needed to dive into a few details before that meeting. We find out what's happening, what do people expect, and have basketball stakeholders read the document, the proposed constitution, and what are their thoughts on it. And what do they know or what they don't know, so that tunaweza ichambua kidogo. Ukiangalia kwa hii set kuna wachanganuzi peke yake, wale wengine wamekimbia wote. Wanjala amepiga missing, jamaa fulani wa coast ajui English, ameona Abel hapa bana akasema we hapa
it's bad.
Amepiga missing.
It's bad
On purpose.
So I don't know, Bobby J, what do you think?
I think this is an opportunity for the basketball fraternity to go through this document, and I think our guest today, Abel, is in a better position to break down some of the clauses in the KBF proposed constitution. And as we all know, there's a lot of noises
out there
about this constitution.
True.
So we just want to have an open conversation
about
to see if this constitution is something we can probably still amend, if we can adopt it the way it is, if it's different from the previous constitution, and advantages and disadvantages.
A very smart man once said that the work of the media is to actually remove all the speculations and come up with the truth, researched facts.
Yes.
A wise man. So that's why we are here. We need to give basketball stakeholders all the facts they need to know in this proposed constitution, and other speculations, whatever is in that document. We need to break it down in details and make stakeholders understand this before the voting on Saturday, right? If we are going to reject this document, are we going to reject it entirely, or we're going to make amendments to this document? At the same time, what are the proposed amendments that we can make? I think let us dive deep into all that.
I think to start, probably Abel can help us to understand the process from the participation that was required to this point.
Up to this point.
What has happened?
I'll first of all start with the simple fact that when we talk about the constitution, you ask the question about adopt, reject it. A couple of years ago, people came up with something they call Basketball for Change. And one of the main agendas, because I attended the meetings, was to discuss some amendments within the constitution, of which they were mostly stringent on the voting pattern and the delegates, because they felt that the delegates of all the constituencies, which were too many, I think it's like 47 of them.
Counties,
sorry. They felt that those 47 counties were too many. The team managers are 62. The counties are 47. and then you have like the executive that already exists,
Yes.
and then you have the commissions, right?
Yes.
So they felt that those 47 were too many because of their participation in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That was where it all started many years ago.
Okay.
We have a new constitution that when you read and you put face to face with the old one,
Mm-hmm.
it's practically similar and just has a couple of additions. As you said, we're going to look at a couple of additions.
Like the same face
It's
on the
exactly
mirror.
the same document with a couple of additions.
Okay.
So, just on the onset, before we delve into it, when somebody says reject, I smile. Because rejecting it, just like any document, any constitution, means we have to adopt the old one as we look for the new one. Which means that the same thing that you've been meeting for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
you've just said we go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think you should just address what you wanted to address. From the onset, we had points as team managers on things that need to be addressed in the constitution, opposed to being all over the place. Focus on the points that you had. And it's not animosity. The constitution is not a person. It's a living, breathing document that helps us and guides us.
Yeah, of course.
So that's the first part.
Okay, let me ask you on that first part.
Yes.
Okay, we had public participation on this document, right?
Yes.
So these people saying you should reject this document entirely, did they not participate in this, the reconstitution of this?
The biggest problem that we have is that we have 62 teams under KBF.
Yes.
And those are the people who are members of the governing council,
Okay.
which means they're the ones who have to come up with these decisions. Because even this constitution, who is voting? It is those 62 people.
Yes.
Issue is, of the 62, you can count maybe 20 have read the constitution, the old one, or even the new one. Maybe 20 actually understand the difference between the constitution and the competitions and league rules. People understand the difference between elements of the constitution and regulations. We mix everything up. So we want one thing in the wrong document. So the first problem is that, okay, the participation even within our teams, and I'll say this, I'll put myself inside and say I'm guilty. As TMs of our teams, when the federation sends us the copy of the constitution, even this one, it is our job to share it with our teams and to make sure that our players, who are the stakeholders, are aware. And if they have any issue, they're not illiterate, they can say, TM, apa, naona kama hii ikaifiti, and discuss.
Yes.
Because then after that, as the TMs, we have a TMs caucus. The reason we insisted on one is to go to deliberate on matters pertaining to team managers' plights and their teams. We're supposed to go back into that caucus and say, I was with my team, this is what we saw, that was a problem. You share, everybody shares. Then we compile this, compare and see which ones are the same, and come up and say, these are the 6-7 pointers that we have. Of the 47 pager that is there, and all the 20-something articles, it is these 6 that we think. Some of them are just regulatory and straightforward. When they talk to you about who is KBF, the executive, the roles, there's nothing to discuss there. Those are straightforward things. So you cannot say you reject the whole document. The whole document doesn't have a problem. Some of those things are just statutory things. It is some of the elements that you need to address, but you have to stay focused on that. So our biggest problem, like I say, is the first element is the education. If you remember even for the referendum for the Constitution of Kenya, the first element was sharing it widely. But even when you do, you still cannot, there is no possible method that you have to ensure every individual who is supposed to participate is going to read and understand. You cannot ensure it. When guys talk about so many things, I'm like, but even to do the referendum in Kenya, you had to be registered, right?
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing as we're talking about here. You want to do stuff with the federation, you give part participation. So how do you want us to do it? Do you want us to just go to every street corner and say because you're bouncing a basketball, it's being done? I believe not. I believe that when they sent the notice, it was our jobs, right?
Yeah.
If I receive the notice, I push it to as many people as I can.
Yes.
And so on. They gave us a notice, they gave us the regions. We push it. We ensure. Because it's our plight. Again, it's our problem.
It is our problem.
This document is going to be passed on Saturday by whomever attends.
Whoever attends, not even the quorum.
Not the quorum.
Whoever attends meets the quorum.
How many people attended the last one that you attended? The
18.
one that- 18 people
Out of 62.
out of 62 attended. but then the whole world wants to blame somebody else. Start by blaming the 44 that were absent from the 62. Those are the first culprits. The reason why we are not being able to address certain things. And if you want to keep them covered because they're our friends, it is where the problem is. Because who do we want to go and pass this? So I'm just playing the devil's advocate. Let's use the terminology that's been used. There's some people who are in the cartel or cabal or whatever it is. So they're supporting the negative parts of the constitution, right? The aspects that we're going to discuss that people don't want. So what if they are the only ones who show up on Saturday?
They'll vote it in. Exactly my point. So now, apparently, if you look at the reject the finance bill, the national finance bill, I think it was the same scenario, the same case we're going to see this Saturday. Because we have a bunch of guys who are pro this. So whatever you guys do, it will definitely be voted in. First thing first, because you have not mobilized your team, the team managers, the county representatives. You've not mobilized them to come to this SGM and actually vote against this document, right? Because if we saw the last SGM, only 18 people showed up, right? Where were the rest? And they knew that voting was supposed to happen that day. So what if quorum was met? They would have voted.
And I've attended several, and the numbers are not different.
So your proposal on this is instead of saying let's reject this, we can do an amendment.
Yes, like currently you've seen right now a couple of people have been sharing, and you'll notice they're sharing 6-7 articles. Let us address the 6-7. Let us stop being, because every time you do, it's in the 48 laws of power. At some point when you're winning a battle, if you overdo it, what happens to you is that you lose the plot immediately. Right? Don't overdo things. Stay focused. You have 6 problems. Raise your 6 problems. You address your 6 problems and you move on with life. You want to start talking about the entirety of a document. Yet, okay, you want to change the National Governing Council being the strongest body? No. You want to change the position of NEC? No. You want to change the commissions? No. So, address what you want to address, which is there. Based on everybody who will be present, it will be discussed and deliberated. We are in a democratic country. We cannot ask for democracy and on the other hand, ask for anarchy. Democracy says that based on the constitution and on the rules, the constitution shall be passed by
These people.
These delegates who are supposed to show up, the team managers. It's the same as when there was a finance bill seats, the members of, is it the Senate or the Parliament?
Member of Parliament.
Parliament. Members of Parliament. So it's not outside. It is not you. There's some guys who have been
selected representatives.
Same as right now. So what we must be pushing for is those 62 to be at least 55 in the inside there, meaning they care about their teams. They care about what is next.
Okay, the next step for this constitution is voting in or out, right? Is it open for amendment?
Listen, exactly. So you wanted the process. This is the process. After the last constitution, we have reached the point of constitutional review and changes. When we had the AGM, in the AGM, it was proposed and said this is what is supposed to happen. Approved, passed and approved by the team managers. Then a timeline was proposed. When does it start? Who are the members? We pushed in the members. We put the chairman of the caucus inside. We picked other neutral delegates. The rest was a lawyer, SG, another lawyer. That's the committee. Did we approve it as team managers were present? Yes, we did. We approved. They gave us a date on when they're going to sit down to discuss and deliberate. They gave us a timeline on when they're going to release the notice for public participation and where they're going to locate. They had a book in Nyayo, in Kisumu, in Mombasa, in the stadium. They did some stuff even online, email address. All those dates were given to us in that same AGM. Then there was a date when they were going to give the draft, which is what you have. It's the draft. For team managers and teams to look at the amendments that they want within what the draft says, because the draft is a compilation of what was there plus what people have written across the country. Because people can be writing the same thing in layman's term. Atutaki chairman, I don't want the chairman. The chairman is obsolete. It is all the same phrase. I summarize into one phrase, put in the document. So this draft is not the constitution. this draft is the raw copy of this is what you guys have said.
Proposed.
Yes, based on what was here already and what you've said that is different from what was already in here. Because some people are making points without having read the whole constitution, which means they could be saying something that is exactly inside there. Now they give it to you as team managers. Your job is to read and take your notes like you would do in school and say, here are these points, like what we've received, right?
Yeah.
These are clear points. This is very concise. Great job. Now you put it based on the Sports Act, this and this, based on this, based on that, based on the state of Kenya, this doesn't seem to be in alignment. That is all that this was about. Such that the AGM in which you were attending the other day when you were 18 was supposed to have all the 62 members who have said, we have arrived and we have read. And to make matters easier, we have a caucus. Having a caucus would have meant that as TMs, we should have already given our pointers to the caucus. It should have been compiled into the main points. By the time we sit in this constitutional review, it's more like chairman has something to say. And then he says, we already have the points. We're here seated, all of us. We'll raise hands so that you can count. There's no problem. But let's go. You can go one by one. We're waiting for to clause 6. That's when we're waiting. The first ones, because they'll go through everything. Clause 1, they'll read you, say approved. Clause 2, yes, approved, 20. 3, let's go. 4, 6, stop. Here's our point. You put it down to the table, they look at it, the Mwakili is there, they're there to look at it and say, okay, this doesn't make sense, this is why it doesn't make sense. Okay, are we approved? Are we passing this or not? Does it make sense? Can it fit? Yes. Hands, count, remove. That is how the process goes, basically. And then after that whole review and the amendments, because some things are impossible, because they're anti-constitutional, and others are possible. You're going to raise it at the best of their knowledge, but the lawyers are there, the registrar will be there. It's their job to tell you, no, this cannot. No, you misunderstood, you misinterpreted this. And then they're going to give you a final stance. And then produce a document which is now supposed to be adopted based on this.
So that means all these campaign going out there to reject this proposed constitution are for nothing. We're actually wasting time. We are going as far as going to the CS office, Honorable Murkomen, to stop the SGM. When this SGM is what we actually need to come up with a solid constitution that will govern the Basketball Federation for the next 4 years. So why are we stopping? Why are we stopping this SGM when we can mobilize all the team managers, all the country representatives to come and inform these people on whatever the stakeholders need, right? Come sit down and make amendments on this constitution this way. Why are we wasting time? Why are we pushing things ukombele?
Honestly,
Or are we attacking individuals instead of attacking a constitution? I think we are attacking because if you decide we are going to do away with this constitution entirely, that means you're going back to the old constitution we had, and this is what has been derailing basketball for the last 10 plus years. Why don't you take this chance to make amendments and come up with a solid constitution that will govern basketball?
That's exactly, and like I said, your guess is as good as mine of why people think that the word reject is. I think maybe the word reject has been synonymous to what we are doing currently in Kenya, so it just looks interesting to see the word reject. But I don't think the word is reject. I think the word is show up and do the right thing, like address the right amendments.
Yes.
And it's very saddening. Personally, it's saddening because every time you want to tell guys, let's be sober, they always think you're pro-federation. It's not pro-federation. I just understand that if you're not following things the way they're supposed to be, you will not succeed. It will just be hot air. You'll be making noise, and then the same thing will be passed. But if you act intelligently, by reading through, checking, what is the pro, what is the con, you have to get this. Like there's a time people were, I'm just going to tell you something. So there's a time people were proposing that the team managers have like a commission, an official one. Well, guess what? If we do have an official one in the constitution, it means we lose the 62 votes. It means it becomes 1 or 2 votes. That's all that it means. It just means that you're chairman and 1 delegate vote. Why would you do that? But the issue is that because we don't sometimes calm down to look at things in a sober manner and actually to consult. A lot of us forget that there are lawyers around us. Consult with the lawyer, ask him, how is this? And he will tell you, no. The way you are, you're in power position. you're concerned about 47 plus the executive, but the point is you have 62. And the 47 are Kenyans. What has stopped you from going to meet them? You want to make changes. The teams that we have in KBF are not all from Nairobi. So what has stopped those in Coast Region or Nyanza to have met with any of the other county officials to be able to lobby in terms of this is what is good for the game? We want to sit and wait for election day and say, oh, those in power have brought them. Where were you to go and meet them? In any political setup, we do lobbying. Yeah. I must come and sit and seek for patrols' votes. What you're trying to call common sense and logic is arbitrary. It's my own logic is not the same as yours. You cannot tell me that this is the right way. I tell you, no, it's not. Some people believe in benevolent dictators. Some people believe in full democracy. Some people believe in laissez-faire way. All of them are right in their own rights and manner. But which one do I stand for? So come and first lobby towards me and make me understand. What we have done year in, year out is we don't care to lobby. We say by shouting online, everybody else must feel us. Unfortunately, those on Facebook don't vote. Those on Instagram don't vote. They just help you heckle. And that's beautiful and cute. But you're not addressing the real stakeholder who can influence. Yeah. You can keep saying the stakeholder is anybody who bounces a ball in Kenya. I'll say sawa. But that is not who votes. When you want to win an election, you go to those who vote. It's like trying to be the president and you're campaigning to primary school kids and saying all of them are shouting my name. Abel, okay. They've shut. All of them are Kenyans. And so what? And so what? Shall they vote? They don't have a vote.
No, they don't.
They cannot help me.
The beauty of democracy.
Yes, I got to go to where the votes are, and I got to lobby, and I got to make sure. Yeah. Right now, we have to lobby to the team managers. So where are they?
Do you think the players don't trust their team managers, and that's why they are kind of afraid of telling their team managers, we don't want this and this and this.
The players don't challenge their team managers. Yeah. There's no player on this soil that challenges their team managers. Mm-hmm. Team managers make unilateral decisions to postpone games, switch fixtures. They don't consult a single player. Those same players just sit down and say, Maze, game yetu ilitolewa. That's all they say. Mm-hmm. There's no team you've seen having a mutiny and going to the TM and say, you shall not postpone our games. Mm-hmm. Same way as every year they complain about election. I've heard many stories, I don't know the veracity of them, saying that some TMs just accepted things or they are towards the federation. Yeah. But have you seen any of their players coming and sitting and say, TM, tumesikia wewe ni msaliti. Na sasa tutaki kama TM. Nobody has gone to do that. Why? Most of our teams are created by the TM or the coach. So the players feel subjected. So again, it's a crazy spiral in which we are in. Because these TMs operate independently. I told you. I'm a TM, right? We operate independently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is not the opinion of our players. And that is where it is wrong initially. Before we want to address those who are in the main office, it all starts from below. If you don't manage yourself properly, you will also become the same leader you're complaining about. Even if we gave you the position, what will you do? You consult nobody. You never consulted anybody when you were the TM. You're going to consult as the chairman. No, your habits are to work by yourself. You're going to keep your habits. Yeah. So, it's.
And on the voting of officials for KBF,
Mm-hmm.
the county officials, yes. I think the issue is how are we sure, like say in Northeastern, there's basketball sporting activity in that county, so that I remember the last time you'll get a Ochieng from Northeastern coming to vote, and that
yes.
was an issue because we don't know these people from, like, that name is not synonymous with Northeastern, or
yes,
it looks kind of.
I mean, the name is not a problem. It's Kenyan. My question to you is this: is what I was asking earlier. When people say, I'm acting like the TMs. So we are saying we want to change the federation. Right? We have our candidates. What has stopped our candidates from allocating each other different regions to go and oversee what has happened? What has stopped us? Is there a place where the current office can stop you from taking a vehicle to Lodwar to go and check, or to go to a certain region. Or if you go to the federation, or if you want to find out the different offices and the different people in charge, you receive that. If you ask for it, it is there. So if you have a question with it, go and ask for it. They'll give you all those regional, then you go and check. The issue is that we don't want to do it. We prefer sitting and just saying, these guys are fake. Like, you've asked a real question. So go ahead and ask any of your friends who has complained. If they have gone and said, here's my written communication, I want, as a team manager, I would like to know the delegates of these regions. Because I see them appearing, and I don't know, I'm about to go to... And there are many ways to do things. In life, everything is not a fight and battle. Sometimes I can tell you, by the way, I want to go into a basketball program in Lodwar. So I'd like to be in touch with the officials in that region. They'll give you a number and a name. It's not complex. I'm trying to go to Isiolo and do something, some project with the youth. I need a contract. They'll give you. It's not complex. If you really want to do something, you think smart and you operate. I want to know these delegates. I don't have to say, oh yeah, give me the delegates. No. Why would I have to speak this way? Yeah. There are different ways. I'll ask you nicely. I want to go there and visit. I want to do something basketball. I'll be there for a while. Nataka majina mbili tatu hivi na numbers. But have we done it is the question. Again, I don't know. Maybe somebody out there has done it. If you have, tell Kinaombam. But I personally have not seen anybody who has actually gone out there. And those who have not shared. I mean, all the TMs groups. I have not seen a single list of delegates. We've talked about this since the month of January. We are in September. There's no list of delegates that has been presented. So I still don't know how we are counting on having the power if we are not deliberate about our actions.
Bobby J, before we dive into that document, I want us now to dive in actually into, we are going to go through all the clauses.
No, we don't have
not
to.
really. But we really need to, there are a few clauses that were
We
pointed
can address
out.
the ones that are...
Yeah, they were pointed out
Yes.
so that at least we can discuss a few things on it. There were a list of clauses that were mentioned as dangerous. Dangerous, very dangerous.
The word was dangerous.
The word was dangerous. So let us dive in. Actually, the first one I want to talk about is the electoral body conducting this election.
Yes.
Apparently, this proposed constitution gives NEC the authority to appoint an electoral body or a returning officer for this for
Yes.
a particular election. And previously, the other federations have conducted their elections. We had volleyball conducting their election, and last weekend, I think Kenya Karate Federation also conducted the election. And for these two particular federations, one thing was common amongst them is that they had a very old constitution whereby they're leaders of a state. The same problems we have.
Yes.
So what they actually did, they went to the sports tribunal, disciplinary tribunal, something like that. And because the term already ended for the people sitting in office,
Yes.
they had to step on, and a caretaker committee was brought in to conduct election, specifically election. So what do you think about that clause specifically, where NEC is given authority to conduct, to choose a returning officer when they already their term has already ended? Because when we have an election, that means the term is already ended.
Yes, the
right?
office is dissolved.
Yes. So why are we having this sitting NEC executive still proposing returning officers, choosing?
Yes,
Why don't
I'm against that.
stakeholders-
I'm against that
Yes.
entirely.
Yes.
In the past elections, we had IEBC and NOC, and it should stay that way.
Yes.
Who are overseeing the election? It should stay that way.
Not overseeing, conducting. it
Conducting. That's
entirely.
what I'm saying. It
Yes.
should be. It should always be that way. It's. I mean, trying to appoint guys directly. Okay, even when it comes to IBC, it's the same way, because you will say, but it is the same way. It is still through the presidency that the IBC is constituted for the same election. So I believe it's the same method and thought process in what is being proposed. You understand? Because how is IBC constituted? It's an independent body that they've proposed. They're saying it's independent, 5 people with high integrity. They've given all the characteristics.
Yes.
It's an independent body.
Of course.
It's the same thing they're saying. They're telling you exactly, they're doing an extension of the constitution saying the president gives those names which are passed and approved to sit in IEBC. Sindio?
Yes.
This is what they're proposing. But to me, just like to you, is that I don't know that basketball is entirely ready to go that way without having IEBC itself, having a representative, and NOC having a representative throughout the processes of our elections as the way we are. That is what I would say. But like I said, I understand the thought process. We discussed this earlier. I told you the issue is to first understand the thought process whenever you want to address a point, and then you can extend it. The thought process is what I told you. You go from here. This is the same thought process they've used. So at this point, because I've read the comments, but no, they're following as per the constitution. The president puts names.
Not it. I don't think the president appoints whoever is going to run an election, because before for IBC to be constituted, we must have commissioners, and commissioners are proposed from different entities.
Yes.
Like different.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And that's why last election we had a split commission, right? So the president doesn't entirely have power.
No, he doesn't have veto or entire power.
Exactly.
No,
but in this case for NEC, they'll have all the powers.
Which is what I'm also against. I'm saying for
Yes.
NEC, I'm not okay with that one.
Yes.
And I told you entering here, to me that was my biggest point of contention. That one.
Okay.
When I read both documents, I was like, apana. Apana. The way we are going here, apana. This.
So that is the first amendment we are calling out to a team manager. And,
Yes, that one, apana.
Bobblings, you're a team manager.
We cannot.
So
That
that
one-
is the first amendment you guys should make on that date. That it should be an independent body running this election, and preferably.
Yes.
Preferably.
Just like they've said, we have to just maintain IBC. I
Yes.
don't know why that clause should not have been changed.
Yes.
It should be maintained as per the old constitution, the way it was. The new amendment is not good. We just revert to the old,
Yes.
whatever was there in the old constitution for that particular part.
Okay. Obj, the next clause it was dangerous.
No, one, before we go to the dangerous one, I think I wanted to ask about the vacant, when we have a vacant position in the NEC, National Executive Committee, like we had with the Kisoi resign. And then they say the committee shall have the power to fill such vacancy, subject to ratification.
Yeah, so that's what they did. So, for example, Angie moved up to SG and Mose moved up to assistant SG. Then, when we had the AGM, we proposed and approved it. That's what happened. They brought it to the AGM, and the AGM says, Angie, SG, we say propose, approve, and we move. That's what happened.
That clause begs for an amendment. Yeah.
To do what? So what happens?
So that we have a by-election. Because
By-election, yes.
yes, this is a vacant position. This is an elected.
Who is going to do the election? The by-election. So we're going to bring all the delegates from the 47 counties.
Why
again.
not? Why not? This is an
brings them?
elected
Democracy is
position.
expensive.
This is an elected position.
No,
Somebody
it's not.
cannot just move from.
In an elected position, we don't just re-elect immediately.
Why not?
We don't just re-elect immediately. That's not how it works. Even
No.
if it's we don't re-elect immediately.
The constitution. Once the constitution is amended, we can put a clause to have a by-election in any case somebody steps out or dies.
Yeah, because when you looked for office, you wanted to be an assistant secretary general.
Yes.
So let someone who wants to be the secretary general.
No,
come for that
the person who wants to be secretary general starts by wanting to be assistant secretary general because it's the process. Because the process, you want to be secretary general immediately, you're going to crash and burn. That's what it is, crash and burn. What are you trying to do? Have you ever seen somebody coming from his bush to become the president? No, he's a minister, he's an MP, he's a senator, he's a governor. He moves up the ranks. You don't come from your village. It's a very difficult task unless you're Donald Trump. Okay.
But then again, you can now go out, come back as I want now to become the secretary general and compete with.
And compete with that. Yes, exactly.
The point is this. The point is
have
this.
it elected.
The point is this. You seem to forget. If you want to do that, it's a very tedious job because the elections within our constitution are a tedious job from the time of the notices to the time of execution. We already don't have quorum because of the simple fact that anything that you place, people have a time issue because it is not their job. You're going to create a by-election. When will it fall? The same thing you're saying, you're going to complain about it because we're going to set up a by-election which is not going to favor 60% of the delegates, and we're going to go with the quorum that is going to show up, and we're going to present our cousin to be the new SG, and you're going to take it and you're going to complain.
That is the job
But
of whoever is
think-
vying. That is a job to mobilize candidates and delegates.
Just the way you're saying,
That is
lobby.
that is the job of the
I'm
candidate.
just trying to present. I'm telling you that the
No, it's
issue
not
when you
possible.
create When
It's
you
not
create,
costly.
listen,
Having delegates come and vote, they just need an allowance, maybe transport allowance or
From
housing allowance. From the federation, of course, we can make money in this federation. You guys are not exploring all the options.
the federation is not supposed to be paying for this for these people to do.
Okay,
things.
even the sport. Actually, it comes from the ministry. The election money comes from the ministry. The ministry has money
To do what?
to hold the election.
That will be aligned with our Kenyan constitution.
Yeah.
Because if we look at the Kenyan constitution,
If you have a crisis as a federation and you have a constitution that requires you by election, go to the ministry.
Then the president has the power to say, Patona will be the MP of this.
It is not a president.
Yes. So this, in this case, the neck.
I don't know why you guys are scared of going to the ministry and asking them for money.
I think you need to, some people, I always tell them, I think you need to take your own legs. The
That's
ministry
why I
is
want to
open.
be the SG.
You don't need to be in the federation to go to the ministry. That is not what is written. To go to the ministry, to go to the sports county, you don't need to be the federation to go to the county.
No, they
Go and
recognize
visit the
officials.
offices.
They recognize officials more than just stakeholders.
Officials of national duties, that's what they recognize them for. When the federation comes, the ministry's role is on national duties. That's what they're going to focus on. You want to go there for all your stuff, they'll tell you to go and raise your funds, right? To raise our funds within our own. That's why I'm challenging everybody who's coming in. It's like, when you come in, I have the history of there are people who came in Patrick, who were outside this federation, who were the most active people that you could ever imagine. Okay? And they were vocal. When people come in and sleep perpetually, you have to ask yourself critical questions.
Why are they sleeping?
Why are they sleeping? What has happened? It's impossible that people who don't know each other come in and all fall asleep. You have to question and say, there's something that I'm not seeing. Yes. You need to go and sit with those people and befriend them and ask them, tell me the truth. What's happening when you get in here? Because wakati ulikuwa nje, but sasa umeingia, we can't feel you. So it's like anything. It's like somebody saying, I want to be the president and I want to do ABCD in any country in the world. You notice when they get in, the approach becomes a bit mitigated because there's some realities. Okay, so let's go back to this.
Okay, let's.
One is, I think we've talked about the electoral board.
Yes, here's nomination of candidates.
Yes.
Yeah, I also had a problem with that. I'm like, the way they talk about the scrutiny, bringing through the office, and then you need, I think, a member, 2-3 members from teams, I think something like that. I'm like, I don't know what the purpose is for that process. Maybe it's to say that we need to know who this person is. But I think the person's CV and background, if they can present themselves for an election, well, then they're counting on something. It means somebody knows them. Am I presenting myself because nobody's going to vote? It's not as if we have campaign speeches on the day of elections. We don't.
Yeah.
We just present names and people vote. There's no campaign speech. Everything is done before. So I don't really understand. I would love, before even coming, I would love for them to explain what the logic is behind why you need the 3 teams.
And I think the issue here is, like, if I'm competing for the Secretary General and I'm taking my papers to Angie, who is also who is the Secretary General,
Yes.
probably seeking a secondary election in the same post, instead of taking it to IEBC,
Yes.
all of us.
It's easier for. It's
yes,
easier
which
for,
is what I prefer too. It's like, let this electoral body be created in advance. Let this body be the ones receiving all of the candidatures and siphoning through them and telling that party your position is on Abel.
So that means
Full
means the constitution should clearly indicate that all the nomination, the IBC or the independent body conducting the election should start from nomination process up to the election.
Yes,
process.
it should start by saying that the first body to be constituted in an election here is the Electoral Commission. After that, they shall receive the nominations based on the criteria that have been stated already. They shall be the sole proprietors of releasing the list of official nominees per category.
Yes.
If there's any dispute, they'll give you also the channel of dispute in case you're like, well, why is my name not there?
Including vetting.
That's what I'm saying. Vetting should be them. That is what I believe. Candidates cannot be vetting other candidates.
Thank you.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's easier. It's easier for somebody to just kick Pato out.
There's a part, by the way. Sorry to admit my ignorance of this, because I think I was reading, but I don't know if I skipped it. there is a part that was always there about the simple fact that the current members of the executive who are participating in the elections have a right to vote for themselves. And the people coming in cannot vote. That's ridiculous. Even in a presidential election, the first member to cast a vote is the candidate.
Yes.
You cannot tell me I'm a candidate without a vote. I have a vote.
Yes.
I am a candidate. I vote for myself.
You should have a vote.
It's ridiculous to tell me I don't have a vote. What do you mean I don't have a vote? 6 candidates from different things come in and they want to have SG, chairman and all the rest. They've added themselves 6 votes. I know that's what somebody behind might have thought, but that's a wrong thought process. They must all have the right to vote. And to vote for every office, it's fine. See, I'm here in the election. I'm part of the election. I vote what I feel will be a good office for me to work with because I'm working with people. Will it work this way? No, I don't necessarily have to win that way. It doesn't matter. Whoever I'm tied up with in the office, we shall work.
So that means for you to be a candidate, you must be a member, right?
That is
and what makes you go to that clause? I wanted to know what makes you a member. The eligibility of being a member. And the next question is: are these delegates registered by the sports register, of course, every year or every election period? I don't know how it
which
works.
Members?
The delegates, county representatives. Achana team managers. Team managers, of course, are the county representatives. How often are they registered? How often do they present their papers to the registrar of sports?
I believe that it's in line with the election because if you look at the election mandate, the first area is the counties, right? It's like when in an election year, the first letter is out to the counties so that the counties should finish theirs and present their delegates. And then the second level is the notice for the national election. I believe that's how it works.
Yes.
So which means it's in line with the years of the office.
So what is the time limit? Okay. What happened mostly with these delegates?
I'm just assuming there on that one, yes?
Yeah, what's happening mostly by these delegates is you have people presenting papers of their relatives or people in Nairobi to represent people in northeastern, in Bungoma, everywhere. And actually, they have a leakage. They know what timeline to work with, so that once they represent these papers to the registrar of sports,
it is why I came back to you.
And that process is over. Even if you're genuinely from that country, you cannot present again your papers.
But that is why I've told you again. Whose fault is it? If today, listen, like I said, I digress. Today, Jana, or 2 days ago, there was the debate, Trump-Kamala Harris.
Yes.
It is the job of each candidate to have done their research and to know what they need to do to convince us. It is your job. Pato, you said Ombami is a future SG. It is his job to know who are the delegates, the real delegates, what are their contacts, and to find them. It is nobody's job to do it for Ombam. He's going to go and sit and wait for the elections and cry foul. Nobody cares about your pity party. It is your job, because you want to be a candidate, to go and find out who are the bona fide candidates, who are the legitimate guys. I need to know each one of them. Because when we come here to vote, I'm going to have that list in my hands.
Yeah, of course.
And when you say Northeastern's Patrick, I'm like, no. Northeastern here was Ellie. It's not Patrick. But if I don't have that list, it's hot air again.
No, having the list is not a problem, Abel. Having the list, I can get any list, all the registered. That
From
is
where?
fine. From the spot, it comes from the spot registrar.
Exactly.
Right? But according to, there's a clause I read for Bob Links. There's a place whereby they talk about how you're going to be a county representative. What you need to do to become a county representative. First thing first, you need to have a record of all the games played, all the sports activity in that particular county. My question is this really being followed? Does the sports registrar go through that process one by one?
The sports registrar doesn't go through the process. You're the one who goes through the process by presenting it to the sports registrar. You see, you're addressing the fact that they need to vet the things that they receive.
Yes.
Which means that when they're presented to with documents saying that these 20 guys, for example, have fulfilled the threshold, they have to verify. That's what you're saying in short, right?
Yes.
Which means that nobody has stopped Pato from going to the registrar's office and saying, it's the same thing as when they talk, and we'll get to that, when they talk about registering entities and It's such that we can go to one place and say, I want to know how many basketball players in Kenya.
And that is a Morara move. I'm going to pull recently.
So, yeah, that's. I was
I'm
about to tell you.
going to pull that.
I was about to tell you to use that example and say, but listen, nobody has stopped you.
Yeah.
You have said this is wrong. You go to the registrar, you take a
I'm
name.
going to pull that.
You go to that village where that guy says he has done it, and you sit and you say, registrar, I've been here for 5 days. I've questioned people. Here are the live testimonies. There is nothing like what this guy has written here. If you don't do that, it is nobody's job to go and do it on your behalf. We only go by the papers. It's like when somebody tells you, I am 17. Right now we're watching the African Youth Championship, right? People speculate about ages. But the child has presented a birth certificate with fingerprints and everything and a passport. Who are you to argue? You say he looks old. Looking is your problem. Unless you can prove he's old, you cannot claim he's old. Okay, Pato?
Yeah.
So if the registrar gives us things, whether they were cooked or not, the onus is on you to prove they were cooked. It is not on the registrar to prove. The registrar has no issue with it.
You're right.
So, tena kazi kwetu.
Yeah, kazi kwetu.
Sisi kama TM.
Kazi kwetu sisi wote.
Tumesema tunataka mabadiliko, but ni sisi ndio tunafaa kufanya hiyo kazi.
Hiyo kazi, yeah, true. Bobby J, another dangerous clause.
The electoral procedures. I think we're done with the delegate list.
Yes.
Issue. The proposed amended KBF constitution states that all candidates shall be nominated in writing and shall be duly proposed.
That's what we just discussed.
But now here it adds that the proposers and seconders must be either chairman, secretary, or treasurer
of the teams.
Full member of the KBF.
Yes, of the teams. Yes, because according to the registrars, every team is registered. And when you're registered, you have a chairman, a secretary, and a treasurer.
Yes.
Those are the 3 positions in your team.
In a team, yes.
So this goes back to the same thing, because this is where people are having a loophole. For example, sorry to digress on this point. As we're making the noise to reject, nobody is pursuing teams to register. When we're going to reach in January for the election, and they're going to present you the teams that are registered fully with the registrars, is when you're going to see magic. And you're going to cry foul, and opposed to have been pushing these teams and pursuing them one by one and taking them by their hands so they can register, we are fighting unnecessary battles. You're going to reach the election and you're going to have 26 registered teams.
Yes.
And then you're going to cry that you don't have quorum. Because 26, you're going to have 16 that already have a mindset that you don't control. Only 9 of you on one page.
Yeah, of course.
Who are you going to cry foul to? You've just seen it.
You're right.
Because this is only procedural to tell me those 3 guys. It's simple. Newsasa Morans, Storms, and one more, and Swish. See, I'm done.
Yes.
I get them, they get me signed off, and I'm done. There's nothing complex about it.
Yeah.
They didn't even ask you for many teams. It's 3 out of 62. That's all that you really need to do. 3. It's not complex.
You're absolutely right. People should not be crying out here, crying for nothing, when they can use this opportunity to register teams. Help team register so like they can be in your pocket.
This is the real work.
Candidates are watching it for a Siri.
When you're going to be vying.
When I'll be vying.
What is there?
Then there's commissions.
Uh-huh.
The proposed amended KBF constitution requires that these commissions to be registered by the sports registrar to validate their membership to KBF. This provision does not align with the Sports Act, since the only entities recognized under the Sports Act and which the sports registrar can recognize and register are clubs, county associations, and a national organization. There is need for consistency with existing legislation so that KBF organs can carry out their functions legally.
Remove the required.
For commission, I think things like the Women Commission.
Yes, but the thing is this is, you see, I think this one, it's fine what he's saying, but again, you have to remember that some of this is proposed by people. It's not by KPF. Because I've heard people were talking about this, right? Yeah. That's why I'm saying we should distinguish what is happening in the draft. The draft was not proposed to you by the Federation. The draft was proposed by things people wrote. Yeah. Ombam wrote this and we added this here. Now we're discussing it. Don't discuss it as if it was somebody in the executive who gave it to you. Yeah. This was given to you by a third party that we don't know. We can't identify. Yeah. So yes, you could be right. This is not necessary because it's too much. Yeah. And it's not part of the register. That's fine. And that's what we're talking about earlier. This is a clear case of, we don't need it. Vote against it. It won't be put, it will just be removed. It's a small X on it. And you move. It's delete and we move.
Yes.
You get it. you cannot have, what you have is a players association, commission in quotes, which in itself has never operated. There is a chairman, I don't know who is the chairman, I don't know who is the SG, I don't know who is the treasurer, but we talk about, that's what I was telling you earlier, we talk about many things. We don't look at the bottom. The bottom is in ourselves before we talk about KBF's office. We have a sports commission. How many of our athletes know who is the chairman, who is the secretary, who is the treasurer? Where are the minutes of that meeting that put these people in those three positions? When have the players ever convened, even as team captains only? I'm just taking the 62 teams, right? Team captains, 62. Have they ever convened to discuss a single matter? So before we go far, that's where it starts, right? So when you're asking that question, I ask you that. I'm like, when? People were talking about an association. We are an amateur league. Amateurs cannot have a syndicate, cannot talk of rights. Are you a labor force? Do you make money doing this?
No.
So what exactly are you sitting to discuss? To whom? Who owes you anything? Nobody owes you anything. You're doing it for leisure. It's an amateur league. If it becomes a professional league, which is pushed by teams, not by the federation, it is teams that become professional. If we have more Thunders, if we have 10 Thunders, they sit and they say, in the AGM, where the team managers, they say, we are a professional league.
Yes.
Because we have the money. And here are the clauses, 50,000 per month per player. These are the minimums that we're putting. And they do it.
Yes.
And that will be ratified and passed and they'll play their league.
Yes.
We are not. So under which basis will players have a players association and sit down to be telling you anything? You get it? So they already have the players commission, but the point is, it's not functional. There's been no minutes, there's been no meeting has been called. But in the election, you're going to see somebody there, though, who is going to be representing the players.
The players, of course.
When did he have a meeting with the players?
Cooked.
That's what I'm saying, that before we go far, we have to fix our own selves.
Our own problems.
Our own problems. Our own teams to register, we just talked about it. You can, that's your assignment. I'm sure you're going to have another show. Go and check. And in your next show, announce to people how many teams the registrar told you have been fully registered in KBF. Because that is where the problem starts. Even KBF has been lenient. We are entering meetings ad hocly. Nobody's registered. You understand?
Yeah.
And we are just there.
I think we should have real change this coming January. Teams must register.
Yes.
For them to actually even vote.
Yes.
Have their teams vote. They
one
must.
quick fire. Is the neck bloated?
Bloated.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I just think there are way too many people. I don't know exactly why they're all inside there. I don't understand. I thought we're supposed to create a smaller body to be a bit more technical and make quicker decisions. Because when too many people are talking, it's confusing. Same reason why the National Governing Council cannot be doing the technical things that NEC does. The bigger body.
Redundant.
Yes.
The roles are redundant.
Yeah, so I don't see why there should be that many. I think it should have been as short as the top 3 or 4 executive members.
Yes.
I think that should be it, and then that's done. And they just sit and that's it. I don't think it should be that.
So as at now we have a chairperson.
We have 13.
First.
All of them,
Whoa.
13.
all the voted members, basically, see them. And then the co-opted guys,
Then co-opted, then
Why are we
they
even
want
having
to
the
have
first
two
vice and the
women
second
reps.
vice?
then 2 women reps, 2 co-opted,
Yeah.
Yes.
and then almost
Treasury assistant.
yes,
Secretary assistant.
Assistant.
yes.
Chairman.
In the document, it says that the National Governing Council is the one that appoints the national team coaches. If you read that part, it is what it says. Read that part.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, it has never happened. It is voted by the NEC.
Yeah.
It has never been by the Governing Council. Go read that part of the Governing Council. Just go to the. I don't want to paraphrase what is wrong, but I believe I read that today. When you're going to go to the Governing Council, their powers.
The powers of the NGC.
Of the NGC, go to it, and I think I read something like that, and it was a bit.
Duties and powers of the National Governing Council.
Yeah.
To lay down and adopt or ratify rules and regulations of competition.
Here it is.
Sabbatical.
It says to number 5. To
Yeah.
approve the annual calendar of events, the number of teams to participate in the various categories of the National League, and to appoint the coaches and technical officials to
Officials
the
and
national
national
teams
teams.
in accordance to sub-article 4, 6 of Article 6
In the Constitution.
of this Constitution. Okay?
Mm.
My question is,
I want to
I've never seen
appoint
it.
coaches and technical
Yes.
officials to the
Yes.
national team.
Yes.
This has
Okay.
been
This has been done by the NEC. It has
Yes.
never been done by the NGC.
Yes.
So I got a question with that. Why is it done by the NEC? It is supposed to be by the NGC according to what is in the document.
Yes.
So let the NGC receive those names and do the vetting
And vet.
and pass and approve. At least may they approve the top 2 candidates.
Yeah.
And the NEC can conclude. But the NEC does the whole process and presents.
Mm.
And the same issue I have with the selection of auditors.
Of?
These auditors.
Auditors.
They say the NEC will propose at least 3 names of auditors. Whereas I feel like they should give us the whole list.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
Apply.
They should give us their 10 people who have applied.
Yes, so that
Sindio,
we sit down.
Don't cut to the 3 already.
Yes.
You've reduced our choices.
Yeah.
Tell us who applied.
Yes.
We might like candidate 8. Maybe candidate 8 looks like he does a better job.
Yeah.
I agree. So you see that clause is there, right?
Yes.
So I have a question with that clause. I'm like, okay, why do we not get there? Because it's written there. It's and if I go to NEC, I'm not sure it's written in NEC that the powers are to appoint.
Okay, you guys, I don't know if you answered this question of mine because
Which one?
we talked about who candidates being able to vote,
Yeah.
right? How are we going to have candidates vote? Are we going to vet candidates from existing members
Yeah, I think there's,
who are eligible voters,
yes,
or
I
who
think
have?
there's eligibility, and the one that says you have to be a fully paid up member of the federation.
Okay, being a
To be a member.
being a member makes you a voter.
Yeah, see, like a team manager.
A team manager.
Okay.
If I decided to vie, let's say I'm with TM of the Usasa. If he vies for SG, he can vote.
Yeah, you can vote. Yeah, that's okay. But what if I'm outside all that?
Basketball. Now.
So they're saying, that's what I'm saying, they're saying no. Because the person is not a member, only members vote. Because the voting pattern, you see, I think the ambiguity here is that because the voting pattern is according to people who are registered members and delegates, right?
Yes.
It's not like a presidential election where it's every registered voter.
Every registered voter.
So as long as you're registered, you vote. Because there is no way to register an outside person. You've just arrived as Pato, you're just you. A businessman who wants to change
So
basket.
then that means that cannot change. We will still have candidates who are not voters. It's impossible because we cannot kick out everybody else who wants to vie for that position, and they're not members.
The real question we must ask ourselves is how do we make somebody who is not affiliated to a team before the time that he's registering? How does he become a member? You understand?
Yeah.
What is the process for me to become if I want to become a member to be able to vote and to
Yes.
participate as the candidate? Like basically, this is where the lawyers will come in. Like basically, how do I become a
full
member
member.
because I'm voting? Like the process of registering to become a candidate should involve the fact that I'll pay that membership fee, and as a candidate, I'm
And
considered
become
as a member.
voter. Yeah.
I'm a member as a co-opted member in the executive.
Yes.
I become such a member who now has the right to vote.
Yeah.
You get it? I'm not a member representative of a team, no. I'm like a member who was co-opted. But by virtue of being a candidate who has fulfilled all the requirements and has paid that last fee so that I can cast votes during the election.
That, Bobby J, that should be proposed in our next SG.
Yeah.
Such things.
Yes.
Of course, the lawyers are going to clean it up into better language than whatever I've just
Yeah,
said.
in better English. I think.
But I think we've...
We've done justice to
Yes.
some of the.
So to
Yes,
me,
good.
one important point I want to just tell everybody is that
Yeah.
it is not about rejecting. The document is similar with some bad points, like was noted by one of our learned friends
Yeah.
that we went through. It's just about team managers showing up and coming out there in a sober mind, looking at these amendments that are being proposed, and let's try to make sure that they are proposed and passed, such that we can have a clean document. Some of the things are just straightforward and basic, so they don't need to be changed.
Yeah.
But it is these important elements, these 6 to 7 elements, that need to be addressed, looked at, and adjusted accordingly to make people feel more comfortable. Thereafter, we can have a constitution. It is not, for those who didn't understand it and who said reject, it's not about rejecting it, because that is not the point. The point are the 6 to 7 elements that are not very good for the growth of the game. And there's one that you didn't touch, sorry, I forgot, and people talk about it a lot. It has always been there. The federation must be aware, having the powers, and it's always there. This is just a black and white aspect of any federation's powers within a country. Yeah. Go to any sport, you can go check, I can challenge you. Whether it's football, it's written that way. Because today, if something happened on a basketball court that was of huge magnitude, the president will call the minister and the minister will call the federation. Yeah. That is the channel, how it goes. Okay? Yeah. So that is why the federation must be aware. It is not stopping. They have no intention and have not stood to stop things. Recently, in our own group of team managers, when I say people were a bit funny in our statement, sorry to use the word, we've had a case where there's a complaint about certain activities happening within basketball. But the case was brought to the federation. This case has nothing to do directly with them, based on people talking outside who say, why should the federation be aware of academies or tournaments or this? That's preposterous. The federation should be aware. If I flew in as a private investor from somewhere and I want to do basketball in Kenya, where's my stop? The federation. When I go to them, I say, how many academies do you have in Kenya? If the federation's answer to me is, I don't know, do I take you guys seriously? No. The federation must be able to say, we have 262 academies. Where do you want to work? I want to work in Central. Here, in Central, here are all the academies. Here are their contacts. That is the purpose of you registering. Oh, I've come to Kenya. I'm a basketball player. I'm an NBA guy. I want to play a tournament. Is there a tournament in Kenya? Yes, federation says, yes, there is a tournament. There is the street league going on now. In fact, here's their fixture. Then it depends if you're in Mombasa. They also have a coast street league that is going on. I must be able to guide. We're looking at it in a small manner. But you have to remember that there are other people who are not aware of anything. They need a place to find out. You're going to say they have to go to Instagram? On Instagram, I can follow on anybody, even a crazy person who is saying madness. But I need one place. And one bona fide place in a country to find information on a sport. It is the federation of that sport. So you need to empower them by giving them your details. We exist. That is all that they're really saying. And this, I've seen this a million times. It's in every country. I work around Africa. It's in every country. It is how it works. If today we want a friendly against a team from South Sudan, from Tanzania, from Morocco, we'll have to get the approval from the federation for that team to leave that country. And we'll have to communicate to KBF to say a team from Morocco is arriving in Kenya. And then KBF helps facilitate for visa and for entry. This is how it works. The team from Neosasa cannot decide that we are Neosasa to Naenda to Tanzania. It doesn't work that way. Unless you're going to do it Chinyamaji. But if it has to be anything official, that is going, no. They're going to need clearance from your federation because that's how it works. It's just to protect you. Yeah. So I think guys misinterpreted that part. And it's not a new clause, that's my point. It has been there. You read the both, it has been there. People are just highlighting it to create agitation. But I've looked at it a million times, I don't think it's new. Unless something happens, okay, if they wanted to shut down, what has stopped them? I heard people say, oh, they used to want to. I said, okay, they used to want to. Even us guys, we all have crazy ideas that come into our heads every now and then. Yeah. We don't act upon all of them. They come and they go. Point is, if they actually wanted to do it, why have they not done it? It means they're not trying to do it. So I'm all for the right constitution. I'm all for the growth of the game. But I'm against distractions. Some things that we do will deviate us from the essential points. You've listed the amendments, let's amend. Yeah. Story issue. Get ready for the election. You want to vie for positions? Start campaigning. I don't know if you're going to heckle on Facebook and get votes. I don't know. But I believe you have to go and see those delegates and find them. They're 47, right? Yeah. At least find 20, utakuwa sawa. Si ndio?
Kazi kwetu.
Kitu 20 hivi, 15 hata.
Niko sawa. TMs nitawa handle. Including hapa Abel.
Too much on